Carroll bringing it forward. Thompson's making the run. Carroll hangs on to it though. Still Davy Carroll. Could go all the way here. Oh, what a goal!
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Ringing the Blues, the official Wycombe Wanderers podcast, in partnership with Virgin Media. On the show this week we have all the action and reaction from the trip to Field Mill to take on Mansfield Town. Plus we have Chris Poole, the Wycombe fan from Brisbane, on this week's Til Death Us Do parts. But first, let's head to Mexico City for some Chairboys Spanish and the full Liga One results with Uri.
We are ringing the blues from Mexico City. It's me, Uri, and here are the results for League One. Shrewsbury Town 2, Wrexham 1, Blackpool 2, Huddersfield Town 2, Peterborough United 0, Leyton Orient 0, Northampton Town 0, Lincoln City 1, Birmingham City 1, Exeter City 0, Bolton Wanderers 2, Cambridge United 2, Bristol Rovers 3, Barnsley 1, Crawley Town 1, Burton Albion 1, Mansfield Town 1, Wycombe Wanderers 2, Reading 1, Stockport County 3, Rotherham United 4, Charlton Athletic 2, Stevenage 1, Wigan Athletic 2. So, after Matt Bloomfield left to join Luton Town, Sam Grace has stepped up as caretaker manager. Thank you, Blooms, muchas gracias, and good luck, Sam. Buena suerte. Chairboy Spanish this week, caretaker manager. How do we say care? Cuidar. To take care. Cuidar. And manager, well, manager or entrenador, trainer. So, but caretaker, it's more of a tutor or a guardian. Or in Spanish we say interino, like interim. So it will be interim manager. Sam Grace is now our manager interino or entrenador interino. That's it for this week, and back to England with mi amigo Filiberto Cachapollos. Adios!
Muchas gracias, Uri. Right then, Wycombe Wanderers travel to Field Mill for the first time under Sam Grace as caretaker manager. Here's what happened. Toby Large joined us on commentary.
It's 5 yards from the goal line, 4 yards outside the penalty area, right-hand side for Mansfield. It's Boateng, goes in low, flicks on, hits the bar. Maris with the instinctive flick behind, and it hits the angle of post and bar, and a let-off for Wycombe Wanderers early on here.
Yeah, as close as it gets there. The flick on really good over towards the back post. I'm not sure how much he knew about it, whether he was probably putting it back into an area to try and hope that somebody else was going to get on it, but fierce delivery and a real wake-up call for us, because it's been a pretty breathless opening five, but there's been some dangerous signs from Mansfield.
He's trying to provide the angle. Labala picks it into the box, looks for initially Bradley and then Skura, and then it's a penalty for the foul on Labala. Labala gets the loose ball first and is fouled. The referee, clear sight of vision on it, points to the spot. I have to say I said penalty before the referee gave it, because that's how blatant I thought it was. Referee agreed, thankfully.
Yeah, an absolute stonewaller. There's not been too many complaints, to be honest. Gregory now coming over and having a little bit of a moan at the ref, but not many of the Mansfield players are complaining, and Bez has threatened to do that a few times this game, just get in there before his man gets hacked down. I think that's a penalty all day of the week.
Well, Bowery was the clear favourite to get the ball on the replay, and Labala was on it like a flash. And by the time Bowery has seen him, it's too late for him to withdraw from the challenge. He's got there second, and he's taken Labala out, and you have to give credit to Beverly Labala. Richard Kone then, 13 League One goals for the season so far, up against Scott Flinders in goal for Mansfield Town. Flinders, not the usual goalkeeper. Christy Pimp's missing today, but can Flinders make himself a hero, or will it be Richard Kone from the spots? Kone now, right-footed, approaches, and it's saved. And the second ball put home by Kone. Flinders made the save down to his right, and Kone tapped home the rebound for his 14th League One goal of the season. And Wycombe Wanderers, can they start the new era with a win? We'll wait and see. They're in the lead here at Field Mill. Mansfield Town 0, Wycombe Wanderers 1.
Absolutely love to see it, Rich. Follows it in. It's a really good save from the keeper in the first place, but there's only one man getting there first. He was a fox in the box to make sure he gets there, and there's pandemonium behind the goal. Those Wycombe fans rewarded for coming up to Mansfield. Yeah, so delighted for Sam Grace and his men.
It's with Maris bustling forwards into the centre circle. Nice ball out to the left-hand side, uses McLaughlin now. McLaughlin, left-footed cross is a good one. Aikens scores. Great goal from Mansfield. Aikens with the header from the pinpoint cross from McLaughlin. And the substitution pays dividends for Nigel Clough. It's Wycombe Wanderers 1, Mansfield Town 1.
Yeah, really, really good. Header just glanced over into the far post. A looping header, almost Akinfenwa-esque from Aikens. And yeah, two substitutions. An absolute masterclass from Nigel Clough. And yeah, those Mansfield fans gone well behind us. Now it's their turn. And Wycombe have got a job to do. Suddenly we were looking comfortable. We hadn't really conceded a chance since the goal. And there you go. It only takes one moment in this league, and the substitute pays off.
Craig. Poor pass from him. Humphreys skips away from Lewis. Humphreys through the middle looking for Scowen. Drops to McCleary. McCleary's in his thing. McCleary still going.
Yes!
Garath McCleary for Wycombe Wanderers. The coolest head in the building under pressure. McCleary danced through one, fell for another, through the keeper and left-footed into the back of the net. Wycombe Wanderers, have they punished Mansfield for missing that chance? There's still 3 minutes to go. It's Mansfield 1, Wycombe 2.
Get in there, Garath McCleary. And we said it, didn't we? You've got to take your chances, especially at this level, when we've got a player like GMAC coming off the bench, making the difference. Him and Rich there just as cold as ice, those celebrations together. Oh, he's done so well. I'm so pleased for him, G, and the passion there in the celebration. Get in there, Wycombe. Well,
the celebration scenes tell everybody what they need to know about the spirit of this group of players. The week they've been through, and the release there from Garath McCleary in that celebration with his teammates. There's nothing wrong with the team spirit here at Wycombe Wanderers.
Gracie, congratulations. A Wycombe win at the end of a busy week and a hard week for some, but a big win.
Yeah, the boys were fantastic. Like, you probably hear my voices going. That's the cheering on, calling people over, but a massive group effort from the staff, everyone involved, from the analysts, the coaches, obviously Vokesy coming in and joining us with that. Cal, the analyst, has been fantastic, and then the players to go out there, because they'll say that's not an easy game.
Talk about the reaction when the final whistle went, because we had to wait a long time for it. When it did come, I think the reaction spoke volumes, didn't it?
Yeah, 8 minutes went up, and I think that's the legacy of being a Wycombe team, isn't it? Where have you got 8 from? Then he tells me on the 96th, I think there's another 4 to come. Obviously, boos from our bench are going, now where are you getting that? And yeah, the final whistle goes, and you get hit from all sides, and yeah, obviously the excitement and the joy just releases in that minute.
And I guess the poetry of it as well, the first goal today, it's come from a player that's come from the development squad. So a nice full circle moment for you as well. But we all know about Richard Kone and alert for the rebound on the penalty. Yeah,
absolutely. There's a queue of people who want to take that penalty at the moment. So no, Rich scored the last one, so we gave it to him, and that's Rich all over. There's a sharpness and smartness to him, even when things don't look like they're perfect. He makes the best of them.
We spoke about Nigel Clough in the week, and he responded immediately, and 2 subs and then another sub, and they paid dividends because Mansfield got themselves back in it, and that was a good goal from their point of view.
Yeah, Jack had started tightening up, and he's been fantastic for us. Wasn't 100% fit, but everyone knows what Jack Grimmer's going to do. Declares himself in, so it came sort of 30 seconds. We were trying to get Gideon on in that moment, and which meant that obviously there was a little bit of space. Got the cross in, and probably the first time really that they found a bit of space in the box, and it was a good finish. But Sonny and Deco, the aerial duels today. That late one where Deco gets above Flint, probably the best header I've ever seen of him, and Sonny's like a magnet in the box. Everything finds his forehead. That calmness that gives to your teammates, knowing that the man alongside you is an absolute banker to get on the end of it. And so incredibly pleased with the performance of the back line today.
And with 10 minutes to go, we were saying on the commentary, it was a tough one to call. Both teams were going for the 3 points, and Mansfield had a chance as well, but then they didn't take it, and then they were punished.
Yeah, it felt like that, from when I think we had a good chance just before they scored as well. Obviously, once you got that goal, then it's looking at how that we can lock it in. So we changed to match their formation up. We went to the 3 at the back, and I think that can't speak anymore. Brain's done. Allowed us to get a bit closer to their wing backs, and it's a fantastic effort from everybody. Subs coming on, G obviously with the goal, U's closing things down, Anders getting his first minutes when he came on. Now really pleased for the group, and we couldn't wish anything more for such a great bunch of lads.
And it is a squad game, because when the chance came, it's come to Garath McCleary, who's come off the bench, and what a bit of quality to bring off the bench at that time of the game, and that paid dividends too.
Yeah, coming in from that side, I think when he took that touch, I think there's a big intake of breath behind me, and everyone goes, and everyone waits, and then that release when he scores, and you back him too with his experience.
And a nice moment at the end there for everyone with the club going across to the fans as well. Felt like a really big piece of unity there at the end.
Yeah, and as when we spoke earlier on in the week, it's an absolute united group. They're in it together. I know Saturday they got together and had a bit of social time. But from the management within themselves, those older players, the likes of G, Jack Grimmer, Vokesy, Luke, Butch, Oods, they wouldn't let it be any other way. This is their aim to get promotion. I'm just in charge today to try and help them do that. So not shocked by them.
And we saw passions running high on the pitch as well. Dan Harvey and Beverly Labala on this left-hand side. You could see what it meant to them later on in the game too. Yeah,
two winners that Bez has won the penalty today. They press, they get up the line. That relationship they play with each other week in, week out, and it probably just shows how much they care and how much it means to them. So listen, they celebrated. They're sitting next to each other in the changing room. It's football. They're fine.
Garath, a big 3 points after a busy and hectic week.
Yeah, it's been obviously busy, the reasons why. But yeah, togetherness within the squad. Everyone's been pulling together, and yes, I think the relief at the end to get the win. It was a tough game, but everyone stuck at it, and we did our jobs, and thankful to get the win. Let's
start with those scenes at the end of the game. It was really a real show of unity and passion from the team and the fans.
Yeah, 100%. It was, I think, a game where we were expected to lose, obviously not having a manager, but Gracie and his staff, Vokesy, everyone that has stepped in, they've done really well, and the players stuck to the game plan, and we got the win.
And the fans enjoyed that moment as well, but they played their part in the last 10-15 too, because it could have gone either way in that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it could have. They had a few chances. We had quite a few in the first half, and we didn't put the game to bed, but yeah, they've got behind us. I've said our away support is superb, and I think I've called for it on social media as well. The more that you guys can get behind us, it's definitely something that will help, and especially for the final push and the end of towards the end of the season.
So just after Mansfield missed the chance, we had our own chance. It fell to you in the box. Talk us through the goal.
Yeah, it fell to me in the box. I got clipped as well, actually, and I thought I could have gone down because I was off balance, but I didn't think the ref would give it, so I stayed on my feet, and luckily got a shot off, and I think there was a nutmegs in there. So yeah, I'm just happy, and it was a relief to score as well. Yeah.
It was a cheeky nutmeg as well, but it was a calm finish as well, and it's sometimes that's what you need at that stage of the game, a calm head.
Yeah, you do. I wasn't calm in terms of the celebration. I didn't celebrate, but I think it was a mixture of tiredness and adrenaline. Probably a bit of emotion there as well. All the boys have said, "Why didn't you celebrate?" But I was spent, to be honest. So I'm just happy it went in, and we got the 3 points to take back to to Wycombe. So yeah, I'm happy.
And we're back at home next week as well. But, this season, we're into the second half of the season now. Wrexham lost the other night too. And it's that time of the season where fans, when the full-time whistle goes, they look at their phones immediately, seeing the table. Yeah. I'd be honest, we're not looking too much at that. We're just taking each game as it comes. We know we've got a tough game again at home coming up on Saturday. But, yeah, we'll just keep plugging away in training with the staff, and all the players will be behind each other and hoping to get another win. And I guess the journey home, when you get that late winner, those miles melt away, right? 100%. We'll be playing Uno at the back of the bus. And yeah, it's the atmosphere within the squad's nothing that I've really had before. We've got a mixture of young guys and the older guys, me being one of the oldest, if not the oldest. But yeah, it's a fantastic mixture, and yeah, it will be good on the way home. You've been called Uncle and Grandpa before this season as well. I've been called everything, to be honest. They still call you that after you get the winner? They call me it, but I still beat them in races, so it's no difference. It's no difference. And you'll probably win at Uno as well on the way home? Always. But also, I want to go on record as well to just thank Bloom's gaffer. He was fantastic during my time here. He's helped me progress and play on, as did obviously Ainsworth before him, and no matter what, he's definitely someone that I will hold in high stead and high esteem as well, and he's someone that I look to as a friend as well, so all I wish him is the best, and him and his staff as well. So yeah, fantastic for them to get the move, but we're obviously now in a new chapter and we're going to look to continue what they started. Age is just a number. I think Bayo said that once or twice. Bayo said that once. I look up to Bayo. I'm going to try and beat his record of 40. And yeah, I've got some targets in sight, and hopefully I can continue and hopefully get winners like that and keep going. You can be 40 and running channels. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. I used to run channels for him. Hopefully someone will be running it for me as well. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, safe journey home, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Great to hear from Gracie and GMAC following those jubilant scenes at Field Mill on full time. But what about the Stags fans? What did they make of it? Well, here's the opposition view, the best of social media clips that we found so far. Greg Stagg.
Talk about Wycombe being a bogey side. How on earth haven't we taken anything from the 2 games against them this season? Oh, wow.
Arsene Wenger's coat.
In League One, when you're playing second in the table, you get punished for mistakes. If you give them a penalty, keep giving the ball away needlessly, and don't score your own blatant chances, it's going to be tough. And that was the difference today. We basically gave them a head start. We've got to be more grown up and wise. We didn't deserve to lose, but that's football.
Sneeg.
We deserved a point today. It were a very even game where we didn't get any luck. A bit like the game down there.
Stagman Rob.
Wycombe had a very well-drilled shape and looked much sharper and a fitter side for the whole duration of the game. They're up there for a reason after all. They had pace and athleticism across their front line and on the bench. It's hard to compete for 90-plus injury time against a team like that. Although we gave a blooming good go and should have had at least 2 draws against them. Certainly not zilch.
Johan.
That were a tough loss to take. It's easy to hate Wycombe with their late goals, bankroll team and poor fan base. But let's just learn from it and move on.
John Turton.
Wonder what it's like to support a team of cheating powder puffs. See you next season, Wycombe. Oh, P.S. Where were your fans? Second in the league, and you filled 2 taxis.
Sandy Pate, best stag.
That were a disappointing result, which I thought could have gone either way. I also thought the ref were weak with his cards, and maybe if he dished out a few more to a rough Wycombe team, the result could have been different.
MTFC Musings.
We were below average for most of that game, only waking up between our goal and the winner. Personally, I thought a draw were the best we could have hoped for. The referee missed 2 penalties for Wycombe in quick succession in the first half, and the one they were awarded were a stone wall. Despite Q Block singing 1-0 to the referee. Wycombe weren't flashy, but were well organised and had a dangerous front three who caused us plenty of problems. You can slag him off, but they're only doing what we dream of doing in the near future, and have done for the last 5 to 10 years.
Adam Stagg.
I think Wycombe are the example of what we need to be like. And for me, we're only 2 or 3 players off that. They were also much faster than us, which you could tell by how quickly they broke. Especially in the first half.
Shawaddy-waddy.
I thought Wycombe's front three were an absolute nightmare to deal with. Anya Dimya were the pick of them, especially in first half. He was really rapid and caused no end of problems down our left flank. Kone is ridiculously strong. Deji was in a real battle with him, but dealt with him very well. I don't think I've seen a side break as impressively as Wycombe. They poured men forward at pace the moment they regained possession. I also lost count of how many times they played the ball across our 18-yard box, even 6-yard box, without getting anyone on the end of it. They weren't the prettiest side to watch, but very effective at what they do. The step up from League 2 continues to be clear to see, and fine margins win and lose games. But even though we weren't at our best today, we still went toe-to-toe with second in the league.
There's been a rumour that there's a new lightning-fast player in town, and I can confirm these rumours are correct. Virgin Media is here and is guaranteed to be a crowd pleaser. If you're tired of your broadband giving you the blues every time you want to do something, fear not. Virgin Media are right here in Wycombe and have brought their lightning fast full fibre to the area to keep you entertained in between matches. Tuck into as many live sporting events, movies, games and tunes as your heart desires. Not forgetting our podcast with unlimited downloads on Virgin Media's intelligent Wi-Fi. All delivered at the speeds you need to keep the whole house happy. And the best part is, you don't need to wait until the next transfer window to make Virgin Media your favourite signing of the season. Find out more at virginmedia.com or drop into your local O2 store. New customers only, eligible Virgin Fibre areas only, subject to survey, network capacity and credit check. Supporting a football club is like a marriage. Your club is there for life through the good times and the bad. We ask Chairboys fans for their most cherished old memory, their current favourite player, the best borrowed player we've ever had, and for something blue, we talk club merchandise. Joining us this week, we're back in Australia. We've got Chris Poole, who is in Brisbane. Chris, I'm going to have to get used to saying this now. Good day. How are you?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Right, it's in the morning here, so we've established it's evening time on the day of the Pompey game for me, but you're going to do this, then go to bed, then wake up at the crack of dawn to watch the football. Is that right?
Nothing better than a 5 a.m. start for a football game.
I guess you're used to this then, so you follow from afar, which means you are a regular sort of a nighttime owl watching Wycombe Wanderers.
Yeah, came over in 2013 on exchange, and the guy I got linked with when in sixth form, Ash Turney, Wycombe was the local team, and then I sort of just made it my personality. And 11 years later, I now watch games by myself, and the kids are growing up, so hopefully they'll start watching sooner or later as well. So
I was going to say, because you sound like a dyed-in-the-wool Aussie, your accent sounds legit. So your story is then you came over to the UK on a school exchange?
Yeah, I'd finished the sixth form equivalent, and I wanted to come over, and I'd never travelled. So came over to the UK and got put up in a homestay with my mate Ashley, and Yeah, it was his personality, and I just sort of latched onto it then and haven't stopped watching. Now, admittedly, it's been pretty good since 2013. Like, we have had a huge run in the last 11 years. So it's been very easy to support for 11 years.
Wow. So was that in Wycombe? You came and stayed in South Bucks, or?
No, at Sear Green.
Okay, yeah. So not far, just down the road. Yeah. Wow. So you got to go to Adams Park in that period as well.
I didn't actually.
Oh, wow.
So I was only there for a little bit, and there was no games on at the time. And every time I've come back, it's been summer. So every time we go to Wembley, I'm convincing my wife that I'm allowed to go. But when we went for the playoff final last time, my son was born, so I wasn't allowed. And then when we were at the Bristol Street Motors final last year, my daughter was born. So my wife has vetoed any trips when my children are born. So I'm just hoping she's not pregnant at the moment. So if we make playoffs this year, I'm flying over.
That was my next question, because it seems that our Wembley trips are in line perfectly with when you have children. So if you are having another child, you need to let us know, because then we can start planning early for Wembley.
I'll take automatics. I'm okay with automatics as well.
Incredible. Well, this is the first time we've had someone who's got in love with a football club from a school exchange, or an exchange as well. And that is a hell of an exchange, because normally we do them in sort of like a European country, but the other side of the world to the UK, that's fantastic. You've got your Wycombe shirt on, which is good news. Let's get into it then. So we'll start with something old. Your favourite ever Wycombe Wanderers memory. What is it?
So a bit of a different one. I always love listening to this, and especially the fans who have been, following the club for a lot longer than I have. Mine's going to be a curveball. It was against Man City in 2021 or 22. And so in Australia, I don't normally watch the game with mates, because it's 10 p.m, 1 a.m. or 5 a.m. So I can't really get people over, especially for a League One or League Two club. But because we were playing Man City, and I think it was the Carabao Cup, third round, I think, at the Etihad. Mm. And so everyone came along because, we'll watch Man City play. So, the game, I think, was about 4 a.m. So everyone rocked up with beers at about 3:30 in the morning. And we were having a great time, a typical football experience. And then we scored. Hanlon scored. It was about 22nd minute, I think, from memory.
Exactly that, yeah.
1-0 up. And I think for about 2 minutes, I thought, we can do this. We can be giant killers and win. So, it's the first game I properly watched with friends over. And probably for about 6 minutes, I thought we were going to win. Now, I think we lost like 6-1 in the end, or 7-1. And, I think... that wasn't the best finish, but that was my favourite memory, because, watching it with mates was phenomenal. We had Bayo, Vokesy was playing, but I think Foden hit a screamer from about 30 yards out as well, which that really sunk it. But that was without a doubt the 3 or 4 minutes where I thought, we're going to beat Manchester City. Pretty close to the Villa game this year as well. There's just always that little moment where I think we could be giant killers. So that has to be the best game I've ever watched.
Well, I remember it incredibly well. You're right. I think we scored 22 minutes. Brandon Hanlon's first goal for Wycombe Wanderers at the end, where the Wycombe fans were too. And I think City equalised in the 29th minute. So I always sort of say that we had that dream for the best part of half an hour. We had Pep on the run, and which was wonderful.
And it was a good squad. It's not like they put out a B squad. I think, Mahrez was playing, De Bruyne was playing. It wasn't a B team that they put out. Foden was playing as well. Cole Palmer was playing.
He got his first senior goal in his career. Okay, so he came off the bench, because I remember arriving and sort of, it's obviously a bit different from a usual trip to a League One club. We got there, and then the team sheets were done. And I remember looking down the team sheet, and I was like, well, the goalkeeper I don't recognise. Back four is all youngsters. I thought, we got a chance here. And then the front sort of 5 or 6 players was like, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Foden. And I was like, yeah. And then they bring on this kid, Cole Palmer, that we hadn't really heard of before. And was like, he's really exciting. And then he scored an excellent goal. And then since then, obviously, the launch pad for his career was playing against Wycombe Wanderers.
Well, he'll remember that. I'm sure in the biography, that will be the moment they remember. But even watching, Bayo, having 3 or 4 young kids try and stop Bayo, he was a steam train. Like, that was watching men play against children. And he just, for a big fella, he was good with his feet. Like, he was a much more delicate player than I think his looks made it. So that was always hilarious watching him and Vokesy, because Vokesy came on, I think, towards the latter half of the game, because he just signed, and he was just it was beautiful to watch. But I wish the scoreline had been different.
Yeah, it's a point that I like to make as regularly as possible, that Bayo was completely underrated as a footballer. His touch and stuff was just something else. And another great thing about being at the Etihad was after the game, Pep Guardiola fanboying Adebayo Akinfenwa because he wanted to meet him, which was wonderful.
But you think of how many people Gaz managed against. Like, Gaz managed against, Mourinho in the Chelsea game. Like, there's not many big managers Gaz didn't manage against.
Yeah, Gaz was, and he's back in League One as well, and will no doubt be managing against big guns again at some point too, as well as us, which was really weird the other week. But we still won.
Hopefully he keeps Shrewsbury up.
Yeah, I think we all wish that. That would be fantastic. Him and Dobbo, we wish them all the very best. That's a great start to this then. Yeah, Man City, I must also be contractually obliged to mention we have a 100% league record against Manchester City still. We've beaten them twice home and away in the only 2 games we've played them in the league. And that maintains until we join them in the Premier League, or they get relegated for financial impunity and we see them in the Championship next year. So, but I have to say that we have that record.
League 2, we'll be ahead of them.
Well, who knows? Who knows indeed. Right then, on to something new. Your favourite player in the current squad. This is, I think, the toughest question of the lot.
It is, and I probably would have said Morley until a couple of days ago, so my heart's still broken on that. But it's got to be Joshy Scowen. Like, that man just has... You think of a typical Wycombe player who puts his heart on his sleeve and just runs. And now I'm a little fella. I'm 5'7", I think, if I'm doing my imperial conversions. So I love a short fella like him, and he just runs and runs and runs. My biggest concern with Joshy is how hard he tackles. I want him to play until he was, Joey Jacobson age. But I just always worry when he's, early 30s, 31, 32, and yet he tackles like a steam engine. So, look, it's got to be Joshy Scowen. I didn't get to see him when he first played with us because of how long I've supported the club. But, for the last 5 years that he's been playing back with us, he just puts his heart on his sleeve. So if he can just reduce his injuries, I'm going to be the happiest man alive.
Yeah, I think removing the tackling from his game would be really difficult because it's been like it ever since. I remember when he broke in as it was Gaz's first game as manager, as caretaker manager, recalled him from loan and stuck him straight in as a teenager. And I remember seeing his first tackle at Dagenham and Redbridge and thinking, oof. And then it's been a few of those moments ever since. But it's a huge part of his game. But a bit like the Bayo thing is, because he often picks up cards and throws himself into tackles, and which is a big part of his game. But he can play a bit as well, and we're really starting to see that more and more under Matt Bloomfield. He's further forwards.
I think as well when you had Morley, Scowen, Humphreys, I think you saw a really different dynamic that we probably haven't seen before, and that's, Bloom's ball compared to Gaz's football. So, I think it's been really interesting having, Morley and a Humphreys around Scowen because he can just run and they can score goals. This is a great dynamic to have.
He's also one of the most lovely, understated, humble people as well. Off the pitch, very quiet, gets a bit embarrassed when everyone tells him how much they love him, that sort of thing. But yeah, but on the pitch, I've often wondered this, when a player crosses the white line, they almost become a different person altogether.
White line fever. My wife hates seeing me on a football pitch because I'm a very different person. I'm not a nice person. There is a fever that comes over you when you go off across a white line. But it's hard. But, he gets cards, but that's because he's saving us from, someone getting a goal. So I'll take that.
White line fever.
I don't know how many yellows he's got at the moment, but I hope we're getting to that conversion part where he can get 10.
Yeah, we're in the 10 card era now of the season, so he's not. He's all right. He's got time. He's got some leeway. White line fever. I've not heard it called this before. Is this an Australian expression?
I think it is. Australians, for a country of only 26 million, we do very well at sport, and it is generally because we get across a football pitch or any pitch, cricket, any sport, full stop, and we will absolutely smash whoever's on the other team, and then we'll get a beer afterwards. Once we get off the pitch.
White line fever, that's a good name for a podcast almost. I love that. That's fantastic. I've never heard this before.
Well, that can just be the montage of when Scowen retires at the club because he's going to keep signing and play with us till he retires. His montage will be all of his tackles called Josh's White Line Fever.
There was another player you may remember called Peter Murphy that played for Wycombe for a couple of seasons. He was another classic white line fever because off the pitch, very quiet, lovely guy, really super chap. But then on the pitch, absolutely horrible.
And that's what you want. You want absolute on the pitch. Nice off the pitch, but they are there to win. Like if I put my Roy Keane hat on, he's saying they're going to war.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever got off the white line. I think he's constantly crossing the white. When he's on TV in the UK, I think there must be a white line painted on the set, so he keeps that mantra about him. So, right, I've learned something today. We've all learned something today, which is a good thing. So Josh Scowen, a regular feature. He pops in this feature regularly and with justification. Right then, on to something borrowed. Favourite ever loanee or player you wish we'd signed but never did?
Look, everyone's going to say Eze. Like, I think that's got to be our number one. And number two, I was writing a list down this morning, and I was hoping that I wouldn't have to say it because the club was going to announce he was coming back, but it's going to be Morley. The last 6 months have been phenomenal watching him because I was hoping we'd sign him on a permanent. Then we can say, oh, well, he's not a loan player anymore. But just how much he loved the club. Like, he just, you never fall in love with a loan player. But I think he fell in love with us just that little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I just loved watching him play. On top of the fact he was creative, he was aggressive, he had some great free kicks. But I think it's been really hard the last couple of years. We've had some great players, but Morley was the first, it felt like the first loan player we've had in probably, 5-6 years that wasn't a Prem or a Championship young player getting experience. He was a Bolton player who probably thought they were going to give him to him, lower down the table, not a title contender. So they gave him for some, bit of runs on the board. So he was different to what we've normally had. And I think, if we talk about Freddie Potts, we always knew he was going to go on to great things. Like he played in the Europa final, just before joining with us. But I think Morley could have stayed with us. So, I'm going to say Morley now. But I'm hoping that by the time this gets released, he's back at the club and, we can forget this whole segment.
I love this because we always say never fall in love with a loan player. But I love the fact you've spun this round as saying a loan player has fallen in love with us.
Look, I'm not gonna claim it. The boys on Heroes of HP12 said it the other day, and it stuck with me in my head. that saying, and I was like, it's actually really true. He's just, he seemed to love the club, which is always what you want in a player, especially, as much as I've never been to Adams Park, it feels like that family club, where you put your heart on your sleeve when you're there.
I mean, it's no surprise we are incredibly lovable, aren't we? All of us.
Look, if you saw Gaz's long locks, like especially for, as I said to you before, Phil, quite often my wife yells at me because it's, 10 p.m., 1 a.m. or 5 a.m. and I'm shouting when we score. And your voice is the only voice she can hear because you're commentating on TV. So it's a lovable voice.
Never been described as that before, but that's interesting. Okay, I'll take that. The Morley story, though, it has everything, like you said, because he's in our division. And it reminds me of Curtis Thompson when he came from Notts County and they sort of completely underestimated Wycombe, saying, oh, yeah, you can pop down the road and play for these guys. This has no impact on us whatsoever. And obviously Bolton, big club, former Premier League club, lots of fans, didn't get off to the start they wanted. And it's been a problem for them, I think, because they've been seeing Aaron Morley being an integral part of, in their eyes, Little Wycombe Wanderers at the top of the league. So this has had this almost soap opera quality where there's been a narrative underneath it. And like you say, I don't think we've seen the final episode of it yet. We'll see what happens.
And the other part is, he played so well. Lee and Butch had to go on the bench for bits and pieces. Now, Butcher signed, and I remember it was the semi-final of the Bristol Cup, and he came on and scored that goal. I thought he was phenomenal, and yet he's now Morley pushed into the squad there. Now, Lee, as much as he's a jack of all trades and can play, I'm convinced, even keeper, even he's been on the bench for bits because Morley pushed his way in. So he's, up there as a phenomenal player, up with two phenomenal midfielders as well.
There we are. Well, that's it. Strength in depth. So we shall see what happens. Cameron Humphreys is still there. But like you say, like Eze's always obviously been like the one that a lot of people mention. But this season, I think, has changed the narrative a little bit because we've had Caleb Taylor, Cameron Humphreys still doing things for us, Aaron Morley, etc. So, and we're only halfway through the season. So you never know what's going to happen between now and the end of the campaign too. Right then, on to something blue. Now, you won't have been to the club shop, but you've got your Wycombe shirt on. So I'm interested to get the Australian Australian take on club merchandise. What should Wycombe Wanderers be selling in the shop that they aren't?
Well, look, I normally do a big order because shipping costs are not cheap. So my last order was quite big. I've got all the bibs for my kids, a couple of books, random things. I'll do like one big order. But the one thing that I'd seen in the club shop, now I wear a suit and tie for work, and I'd seen it at the time, but I only ever do an order once it's, 100, 150 pounds because shipping's not cheap. And I wanted a club tie, and I said, I'll get that the next time I do an order. But then it disappeared from the club shop. So I'm going to put in a request for a club tie to go back in, and I will scream that from the mountains until it does.
Well, this is a good story because just before Christmas, one of the lads off the terrace, who I only ever see on a match day, who's in his classic sort of terrace attire, asked me the very same question, saying, Phil, I've tried to buy a tie in the club shop. There aren't any available. Is there any spare lying around the office? I've got my work's Christmas do. And I think he's the only Wycombe fan in his company, and he's surrounded by sort of Luton and Oxford fans, and he wanted to proudly represent Wycombe. And we were unable to help him. And I was like, so yeah, this is another voice adding now to the ties. Now, I don't like to wear ties. If I wear a tie, it looks like I'm going to court or I've done something wrong. But I think you make a very good point here. What would be the design, Chris? What would you like to see on a tie?
Well, it's got to be the old traditional. Just give me the Oxford blue. I like the swan on the crest. Being in Australia, if I say I support Wycombe, they say who? It's a Premier League or nothing. So I love shouting that there is a division below the Premier League, that there is a whole lot of phenomenal football. So anything where I can actually start a conversation with people is always my go-to. But yeah, give me a classic blue.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a traditionalist. I love the old club tie.
Could we extend it to a full range of neckwear? So maybe a bow tie or even a cravat, just for every occasion.
Look, if you can get a little bit of, some history, we can have, Gaz there with his fist bump. We can have Mr. Wycombe there with his arms up for the Mr. Wycombe on there. I'll wear anything that can identify it as much as I can, because I rock up wearing a jersey. People are going to think that there's I've gone crazy or something like that.
Okay, so we'll get cracking on the Wycombe Wanderers ties. I like this as well. I'll wear anything. That's a dangerous statement to make, Chris, because as expensive as a postage is, we may test this theory.
I'm okay with it. Look, I'll put it out there, similar to Lineker when Leicester won. I will do it in my jocks. If there are some Wycombe jocks and we win the league, I will do it in my jocks if we win the league.
Okay, right. This is on the podcast. I'm not editing this bit out. If Wycombe win the League One title this season, you'll be in your... Obviously, we'd have to make some Wycombe Wanderers pants for this as well. Or jocks, as you guys call them. Yeah.
Yep.
Jocks is pants, right? Have I understood that correctly?
Underwear, underpants, yep.
Underwear, yeah. Is it like America where pants are trousers? That's been a very dangerous thing.
No, I think they're look, Australians, we shorten it, so it's undies.
Okay.
Yeah, underwear or undies.
I mean, the big issue we have here is thong means something very different here than it does where you are.
Yeah, look, if there's Wycombe Wanderer thongs, I'll wear them because, it's hot it's summer at the moment. It's a high of, 34, 36. Now, I hope the rest of the people listening to this don't actually imagine me in a thong. Footwear thongs, or yes. What do you call them? What do you call them? Thongs?
We call them sort of flip-flops. Or sliders.
Yeah, Wycombe Wanderer slides. I
was going to say, I was going to have to put a caveat in there just in case people were sort of spitting their coffee out whilst listening to this. So a thong in Australia is a flip-flop as we know it here in the UK. But yeah. or maybe a Wycombe Wanderers thong. It could be, whilst we're adding to the range of ties and everything else, maybe some thong as well. We do have some sliders in the shop, some Wycombe Wanderers sliders as well. So,
well, when the tie comes back in and I do my next big shipping order, I'll grab some slides with that as well.
Oh, this has been excellent, and there's a few lost in translation moments. I think which only adds to it, to be honest, with you, Chris, which is brilliant. So we speak on the morning of the Pompey game. For me, the night before. So it's the FA Cup Eve for you. You've mentioned Freddie Potts earlier. We're not sure if he's going to play for Pompey or not. John Massinio, former Wycombe player, former teammate of Matt Bloomfield. So FA Cup, does it mean a lot, the FA Cup in Australia? Because they say it's the most famous cup competition in the world. Is that true? Does it travel to Australia in that way?
I think it does for the later stages, but that's because most Australians that support football only care about the Premier League.
Right.
Now, in saying that, the last two FA Cup finals I've gone out 4, and they've been phenomenal nights. There's a lot of United fans in Brisbane. The first year, not so great. The second year, a lot better. But look, the great thing is it's on TV. I know, unfortunately, it's not on TV in the UK, whereas we actually do have it with the streaming rights. So I love it because we're actually through to the third round. You know, the last couple of years hasn't been great for getting through to the third round. So I love it. So bring on a 0-0 and then we'll win on pens.
Okay.
And Franco is going to win on. Franco's going to save 2.
We can't jinx it because obviously when this goes out, the game would have happened. So I'm going to ask you for your dream FA Cup draw. And it could happen this season or it could be in the future. So I'm covering all bases here. So who would you love to see Wycombe Wanderers play?
Look, I'm going to go Spurs purely for the reason that I'm from Brisbane, and when I was sort of going through high school, that's when Ange Postecoglou came through. So we had some of the most phenomenal live football memories of Ange in his first big trophies. We had 3 grand finals back to back, and he won 2 of them in some phenomenal. So I would love to see we can play Ange in a 4th round. That would be the dream. Or alternatively, we play City and we win and remain unbeaten and go through to the quarterfinals.
It'd be great, wouldn't it? We could let City go 1-0 up this time, and then we'll just put the big guns on and score 6. How about that?
In their current form, I think we might.
Ange Postecoglou, as a parent of a young child as well, I love watching his interviews because in my mind it's Bandit from Bluey doing those interviews, which is again the greatest export of your country, by the way, Bluey. If you don't understand what this is, it's on the iPlayer. Google it. It is phenomenal. Thank you for Australia for making my life better.
And it's in Brisbane as well. So there is actually a Bluey house that looks like the Bluey house. So when you're in Australia, I'll take you to it.
Send me a photo. I'd love to see it. But yeah, so Bandit from Bluey, in my mind, manages Tottenham. And, he's having a bad run of injuries. Anyway, Chris, we'll let you crack on with it's the evening there. So you're going to get yourself for your pre-match evening schedule. Set your alarm. Don't miss kickoff. And, come on, you Blues.
Thanks, Phil.
Right, that's it for this week's show. Many thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with news of our home tie against Northampton Town at Adams Park. See you at Adams Park on Saturday, and if you can't make it, don't worry, because Wanderers TV's got you covered. And in the meantime, come on, you Blues.